Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Five Door Media Podcast. This is season 4 of this podcast, where we are diving deep into the future of the cleaning industry through the lens of technology, software, and AI. Today's guest is someone who has not only built one of the most respected cleaning companies in the country, but has also created one of the most powerful softwares and platforms designed to specifically for this industry. Tom Stewart is the CEO and co-founder of Maid Central, an all-in-one platform built by cleaning professionals for cleaning professionals. From scheduling and payroll to quality control, customer experience, and profitability tracking, Maid Central is transforming how cleaning companies are operating and growing. Before building Maid Central, Tom founded and scaled Castle Keepers, one of the nation's leading residential cleaning companies. His real world experience as an operator gives him a unique perspective on how technology can solve the pain points cleaning business owners are facing every day. In this episode, we're going to talk about how software can simplify operations, why data is the next competitive edge for cleaning businesses, and where AI and automation are headed in the years ahead. Tom, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you here.
Hey, Drew, thanks so much. I'm excited to be here. I've done quite a few of these over the years, being on the other side of the table. Don't have an opportunity, or really don't take opportunities to be guest that often, but who knows? Maybe this will be a start of something bigger. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I love that. Absolutely. Happy to have you here. I experienced that yesterday. I was a guest on a podcast and I had to you flip a switch in your brain. It's a different type of engaging, right?
Yeah.
It's a different type of engagement when you're the one being interviewed compared to you're usually the one who's interviewing them. So fully get it. Happy to have you here. Thank you for taking the time to do this. So let's set the scene, as I like to say on this show. The technology shift in cleaning. I think you've seen the cleaning industry evolve over decades and many different ways. Over the last few years, what do you think has been the biggest shift in how cleaning business owners are now thinking about technology that maybe they didn't in the past?
Well, gee, to frame that up, it's hard for me not to go back like for the last 30 years because it's
Yeah.
been an evolution to get perspective. You go back, in the day, so to speak. Marketing was yellow page ads. Everything was analog. Okay, everything was analog. Yellow
Mhm.
page ads, classified ads to recruit. Your technicians would show up, at the office at the beginning of the day. You would give them a 3-ring binder with pieces of paper in it. God help you if a customer
Yeah.
calls up and skips a job or something like that because you're taking notebooks apart and putting it together. Move forward.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, moving forward, it's a completely different animal today. Over the last few years, um, seen a lot more automations, seen a lot more evolution. Um, the benefits, the features are go far beyond just scheduling software.
Mm,
It used to be, transitioning from that analog world to just a piece of software that you could put a schedule on was a quantum leap forward. Okay, now that's table
mm,
stakes. Everybody does that. The evolution past that, and this is more than the last few years, but the idea of sales-based software, where you're not only scheduling, but you're capturing leads, you're nurturing leads, you're converting, online booking, stuff like that. In the last few years, and Maid Central is taking the lead on this, and I believe that we're taking the lead in making this happen, is evolving from sales-based software to profit-based software, doing everything that the
mm.
sales-based software is doing. But in addition to that, showing companies how to get maximum pricing for every individual job, not just like on an average, revenue per hour basis. How to lower your cost of goods sold, payroll to revenue, how to basically make more money out of the homes that you're cleaning rather than just cleaning more homes.
I love that. And, we talk a lot on the show. I've said the phrase before, like revenue is for vanity, profits for sanity, and I think a lot of businesses they get to that point where that is so true, right? Where they think just more and more revenue can solve problems, but they realize it's not. How is Made Central doing that? How is Made Central through technology bringing profit to the forefront and not just, continuing letting people think just more and more, sell more homes, sell more cleanings, book more jobs?
Well, it's been an evolution, and one of the things that I think helps us do what we do is we have a good perspective as to where we started and how we got to this point. Um, when we started building a trade association, it was called ARCSI. Really, it started off as
Mhm.
ARCP, Association of Residential Cleaning Professionals, turned into ARCSI, and eventually became ISSA Residential. We would have meetings, and we would all get together as cleaning business owners. And mind you, this was before Facebook was a thing, so there wasn't really a whole lot of networking. We get together and talk about how many homes we cleaned or how many employees we had. And you talk about profit and stuff like that, and we just didn't talk about it. Some of us really didn't understand or know that. We measured success by how many homes we cleaned. And when we started building Maid Central, well, I don't want to say when we started building Maid Central because we started building that 30 years ago as well. That's
Sure.
another story. But when we were marketing it and started selling it and licensing it to other companies as a Maid Central, we knew that's where we needed to start. But then to take people beyond just counting the number of homes you're cleaning to measure the revenue that you're generating, and then looking at it from a payroll to revenue standpoint. To answer your question more directly, payroll to revenue is one of the keys to how we make this happen. Because what you're really talking about is that's a proxy in the Maid Central world for cost of goods sold. So you clean a job, somebody
Mhm.
pays you $100. If your payroll to revenue is $40, you've got $60 or 60% of that left over to cover all your other bills, and what's left over is profit. We manage that in a way where you can lower that payroll to revenue, not because you're paying your technicians less. You can actually pay them more on a per hour basis, but you're helping them be more productive, generate more revenue per hour. Pricing is a huge part of it. Our pricing model is very sophisticated, and we
Mhm.
price jobs based upon the allowed hours. If you want to know what you should be charging for a job, the hard part is to figure out how long is it going to take to do that job. Okay, Drew, once I know how long it's going to take to do the job, it's really easy to apply an hourly rate to it. We have a calculator that is as good as you're going to find in the industry in terms of predicting the time it's going to take to do that. And it's self-tuning. As you collect data, you're able to refine the metrics in your calculator to make it more and
Yeah.
more accurate.
Yeah, like I said in the intro, data is becoming just more and more a necessity for running a cleaning business, so 100% makes so much sense. Where do you think owners are, or maybe do you think owners are starting to see software like Made Central or other tools that are out there as less as a like, oh, that'd be nice to have, and more of a core part of their business model? And if you are seeing that, what do you think is driving that mindset change?
Bigger companies are getting bigger. Um, they're becoming more sophisticated. They're adopting professional management practices. And part of that is they need the data to execute on that. They need the tools to do it. And Maid Central is designed for just the house cleaning vertical. There's not a lot of features there that kind of get in the way. And there's a lot of things
Mhm.
that we do that are unique just for that vertical. And the larger companies are able to use that functionality to get a lot bigger and make a lot more money.
Love that. I mean, Maid Central over the 30 years, as you called it, as it's been building out, has really become a go-to platform for cleaning company owners. What inspired you to create it, and what gap were you trying to fill in the industry?
Well, if I'm gonna go back 30 years, my mother-in-law, started a house cleaning company in Charleston, South Carolina called Castle Keepers, and at the time, there was no software in the market for that. So, Maid Central started as just a simple access database to help her run her business. I was a product manager for, J.C. Penney Company for on the distribution side, warehouse
Mm.
automation stuff, and I had friends who actually wrote code. I mean, I wrote code for a while, long time ago, but long got out of that game. But we took the simple access database and started building it out over the years and moved it to MS SQL with a VB6 front end. And we were running it client server for a long time. About 2014, we made the decision to move it up to the cloud. And we did that with for castle keepers. The strategy was to build a platform company around castle keepers, and we were going to leverage the technology to do it. And we had 6 branches that were all castle keepers that we had in various parts of the country running off of Maid Central, and then COVID happened.
Mhm.
So we had to shift gears, we pivoted, we, sold off some of the businesses and started focusing more on the software as a service and licensing it to other cleaning companies. Um, Prior to that, we've done a lot of training over the years, and people would come through our office in Charleston, they would see the software, and they'd wanna use it, and it was like, we're really not in the software business, we don't have people to support it," so forth. Then we had a few people like, I know Matt Ricketts has been on your show before, who's,
Yeah.
kind of friends and family, and we started licensing it to friends and family with the idea that you can use Maid Central, but I don't have any documentation, I don't have any support, and if you have any questions, don't call me.
Yeah. Do it at your own risk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that wasn't completely true. We helped them out, but that was kinda how we got started. But once COVID became a thing, we started working it more as a business, and it kinda took off from there.
I love that. Very cool. Yeah, and Matt has told a little bit of that story on this show before, so and his involvement and how it got started. So that's awesome. One thing I see Made Central do consistently is listen to feedback from users. I think there's Facebook groups, there's online content in general where I'm seeing users have no problem giving back honest feedback or like ideas for features or gaps they maybe see that could be installed in the software. How has Made Central evolved based on that feedback from real users of the platform, and how much of the changes that happen come or do exist because of that feedback?
A meaningful amount of the changes are based on user feedback. We refer to companies that use Made Central as Made Central partners, and, yeah, we do get a lot of feedback, and, we're able to use that, you know one of the cool things, Drew, about the Made Central community is, there's some really large cleaning companies, like, just right at maybe a little over half of the companies that use Made Central partners are doing over $1 million a year in revenue. And in the house cleaning industry, I mean, that used to be like a big benchmark. I mean, I can remember
Yeah.
when you could count the number of $1 million house cleaning companies maybe on 2 hands, okay? Now
Mhm.
it's more common, but I would argue as a ratio of complete users, we definitely have the largest, more advanced companies. So, they know what they're doing. They're using professional management, and they're giving us, good advice to refine it and make it better. That being said, there are startup companies that use Made Central to their advantage as well, but their vision is to scale a business. They're
Mm.
not necessarily looking for the lifestyle small business, just, going out and cleaning homes on their own for whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there are some people that like leave their corporate job and, cash out their 401k, and they're going all in. And they bring in management perspective from other organizations that help us make the product better as well. So, to answer your question, you know, our users know what the heck they're doing, and they've got a lot of awesome ideas. So it's really a no brainer to tap into that brain power to make our product better.
Sure. I love that. Have there been any surprises along the way? Maybe things that you didn't expect business owners using the software to value as much as they do now, or have they given you ideas that really just blew your mind that you never thought of to begin with?
Well, there's been a number of those, over the years where things have evolved, and sometimes we get surprised to the upside, sometimes we, get surprised to the downside, but you gotta get out there and do it, and for the things that work well, we keep doing it, and for, some of the lessons learned, it's tuition, and we use that to make the product better. You know, um, a big part of Made Central is high frequency recurring customers. And a lot of it's designed to maximize lifetime value of recurring customers, a long list of
Yeah.
things that we do. And our users uh, contribute a lot to the finer points of it's everything from the messaging to the marketing templates to how you do a sale, how you build your quoting tools. 98% of the jobs that are done in Maid Central are part of a recurring service set, meaning those customers are recurring service. And that
Hmm.
didn't happen by accident. And that didn't happen in a vacuum. That was a collaborative effort with our user base.
I love that. Very cool. So let's talk about data a little bit more, because I think one of Made Central's big differentiators that it provides is how it ties operations and data together. Why is data so critical for cleaning business owners who want to scale profitably?
Wow, it all starts with the Edwards Deming thing. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And everybody has an economic model in their head for running their house cleaning business. Going back, when we were starting Arcsy, the economic model is I'm going to count homes cleaned and technicians, and that's how I measure success. Those models, need to evolve, but they're all supported with numbers, right?
Hmm.
And data. So, it starts with the data, then it starts with being able to present that data in a way which is useful, like through reporting. And what we've done in Made Central, we look at it as a five hop process. You need data, you need reports, you need exception reports. Because when you get a lot of data, you don't have time to deal with a lot of data. You just need the data that you need to do the things that you want to do. The fourth thing that you need is you need suggestions off of that data. We call it business intelligence or BI in the Maid Central world. And the data gives Maid Central the ability to make recommendations to cleaning business operators. Hey, you've got a home here that's underpriced. You might want to consider a rate adjustment. We'll recommend that to
Mm.
the scheduler. And ultimately, it's going to be done for you. It's going to be automation. And that's where agentic AI comes in. Um, Another part of it, I mean, we could talk for an hour just on the data, but I'm not gonna,
Yeah,
that would be cruel and unusual punishment. I'm not gonna do that
sure.
to you.
Yeah.
But it is really important to be able to get predictable outcomes, and this is kind of a
Mm.
cornerstone of, what May Central does. Publicly traded companies, okay? They can tell you how much revenue they're gonna generate next quarter. They can tell you what their profit is gonna be next quarter. If you have the right data, and May Central gives that to you, we call them core KPIs. There's 12 of them. You can use those 12 core KPIs, put them in a model, and it will project business performance in the months ahead. So why do I care? Why is that important? If I look at that and I don't like what my months ahead look like, I have an opportunity now to make changes in my business. And Made Central
Yeah.
gives you tools to do that. Where with that data, you can make changes in your business where you can generate more revenue or have more technicians or expand your marketing or lower your payroll to revenue or whatever it is to get the outcomes 3 months from now that you want. Without the data, you're just cleaning homes and keeping your fingers crossed.
So good. Data is so powerful. So what would be your advice? And you had those 12 core KPIs that you mentioned. Maybe that's the answer to this, and we can maybe go through those quickly. But like, what's your advice for a company that's maybe just starting to realize the importance of data and they're starting to use data to drive the growth in their cleaning business? Where do you think they should focus first? Because data is one of those things that like especially digital data, internet data, we see it on the marketing side. There is more analytics than any human needs, right? Available to you. So a lot of times you get like decision paralysis when you look at data because you're like, it's just so much, I don't even know where to start. Someone that is they've jumped on the train, right? They want to start looking at data. They want to start improving their business by being more intentionally data driven. Where do they start? And how in Made Central does that make it easy?
Wow, Drew, that's a good question. A lot of times cleaning business owners will see somebody like Matt Ricketts and they'll watch him present, some concept. And it's like, well, Matt's got a $5 million business. If that works for him, I'm going to do it too.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
Matt might be in a completely different place than where you are in your business. So the answer to your question really is found in, where are you in the progression of your business? I've coached a lot of cleaning businesses over the years, and a lot of
Mhm.
times when people start out from 0, they really get hung up on, you know, "Do you like my new logo? I've been working on the website, I'm thinking about getting an office, these are the cars that we're gonna get. Do you like the wrap? What vacuum cleaners do you use?" Months go by, Drew, months go by. It's like, "Well, how many homes have you cleaned?" "Well, we haven't got to that yet," and it's like, "Stop. Just be quiet and go clean something."
Go clean something.
So at the
Yeah.
at the very beginning, you gotta be cleaning homes. If you're not cleaning homes, it really doesn't matter. So, what you're charging for that, what your payroll to revenue or, cost of goods sold is, all the other metrics, customer retention, we'll get to that later. First, just clean some homes. So if you're cleaning some homes, then the next part of that really starts getting into the pricing. Am I pricing this in a way that's going to allow me to be successful? Because,
Mm.
you need to know and to do that, I was saying earlier, you need to know the allowed hours. How long is it going to take you to do a job? And you need to get good at pricing, and not just on an average level. If your average bill rate is $70 an hour, that's really great. But if you break that out, you might have a bunch of homes that are less than 40 and some that are, over 100. So the ones that are, you know, at 40, you need to get them up and your average goes from 70 to maybe 80. And that's just a ton more money you can be making without cleaning more homes. Once you get that right, then you really start drilling into the whole cost of goods stuff with the scheduling to help technicians be more productive, more efficient. And now you're doing enough work where you really have a team, okay? And you're able to,
Mhm.
you know, be competitive from a compensation standpoint and a benefit standpoint, and you're generating more profit off of the work that you're doing. And that's really where the magic happens in this. Um, but you have to start with just cleaning stuff. So it's kind of an evolution.
Sure. Makes sense. Just do the work, as and everything will fall in line after that. Yeah. Let's talk about AI, right? And I know that might be 2 letters you're sick of hearing in the point in your life, because I know Maid Central is going through a lot with your new update, Maid Central Pulse, and AI is gonna be a big part of that new update. But let's talk about it because it is, a big conversation in the cleaning industry and honestly, like, probably every industry right now. But let's look at, in the next few years, maybe, how do you see AI and automation impacting the cleaning industry at a high level and maybe some ground level things as well, but both in the back office as well as in the field? Because I think those are two areas that need to be discussed. This is not just about what's happening in the back office. I think AI can be affecting things with technicians in the field as well.
Oh, 100%, 100%. We held the Maid Central Strategy Summit just a month ago. Okay.
I was bummed I couldn't be there. One of my kids had a play that he was in that week, and I had to put my dad hat on, and I couldn't come. I was bummed.
Well,
Yeah.
you gotta set your priorities. Certainly respect,
Yeah.
respect your choice, but we're making plans to do it again next year. So
Okay.
we'll get some information on that before too long, and hopefully we can get you there next year. One of our presenters was Jonathan Wisman, and he's the CEO of Who
Yep.
Hire, and he's a tech geek, and he's
Hmm.
spending a lot of time. I mean, well, Who Hire uses a lot of AI to determine, will this candidate do better than that candidate, and who do you need to be hiring in order to be
Yeah.
successful? And it's really kind of it's a very impressive product that he has there. And if anybody running a house cleaning business, if you want to hire more qualified people and lower your churn rate, I would encourage them to take a look at Who Hire. But we talked a lot about AI. He talked a lot about AI, and he's spent a lot of time like out on the West Coast, Silicon Valley, and he's met with some of the vendors that are making humanoid robots, and he had some videos and. He's projecting in 3 years, you're going to see humanoid robots in homes doing activities like
Wow.
cleaning. Um, I don't know if it's gonna be in 3 years, but, I think the consensus is that it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of a when, not if. Um,
Mm.
so you talk about the field, but let's come back a little shorter, and we'll start with the field, and then we'll we'll talk about the office and the other stuff. Um, I can see technicians using AI in the field. We've done a lot of training over the years. We helped write the house cleaning technician certification program over COVID. We built a professional cleaner, certification program, the one that they offer through ISSA Residential, a lot of
Mhm.
training for technicians. You can take all that information and put it in an AI agent and have it on a phone or maybe a wearable. And the things that can take weeks to train a technician, they could be working with this AI agent that they can look at a surface and say, "Hey, that's marble. Clean it with this particular product," or
Wow.
or that particular soil there is alkaline, so you're going to need this acidic cleaner to remove it. Stuff they used to have to know, the AI agent could be telling them because it's figuring out what you're supposed to be cleaning in the home and what you're supposed to be cleaning it with, and how to do it in a way where you don't screw it up.
Yeah,
So
I love that. So that's the
that's
field.
the field.
What about, and this is where obviously Maid Central plays a large role, being the all-in-one platform that you can be. What about the back office?
A big part of Pulse. I mean, we're doing Pulse for several reasons, but a big part of it was inevitable that we're going to be using our software differently in the future than what we have in the past. And the idea of logging into a piece of software and pulling up a form and typing in a bunch of information, writing a report and sifting through the report, that's going to go the way of using agents where you just have a question and it gives you an answer. We have a product called Maid Sense, which is actually going to be in the current version of Maid Central, and that'll be coming out before the end of the year, which looks like a chat agent, looks like Chat GPT, but it's
Mm.
going against your own data, and you can do some really cool stuff with it. But
Oh,
eventually,
nice. Yeah.
eventually, it's going to be agents that are going to be doing it for you. Initially, it's going to be making recommendations. Hey, Mrs. Jones just skipped her job for today, but you've got three other jobs you can pull forward and stick there. You want me to send them all a text, and whoever responds first, we can do it. And once it gets the recommendations right enough times where it's no sense in them
Mhm.
asking you, it doesn't even have to ask you, it'll just do it. So humans aren't going to go away, but they're going to be a lot more productive and you're going to be getting a lot better results. The idea of, we talked a little bit about extending the lifetime value of customers and
Mhm.
and technicians as well. AI is going to help you do that even better because you're going to do a better job of meeting customers' expectations, and you're going to do a better job of meeting your technicians' expectations because AI is going to be making better decisions for you, and it's going to be identifying in advance before things go bad that you got something here that you need to look at and address and take some action before things go bad.
Do you see any either like key responsibilities or even key roles that is in a normal admin team of a cleaning company either being drastically changed or even replaced by AI in the future?
How this evolves, I guess, is kind of a crystal ball thing. Um,
Hmm.
People in admin roles are gonna be using AI agents. They're what Jonathan Wisman's doing over at Who Hire. He's just going to keep building that and evolving that, and AI is going to be playing a bigger role in helping you hire the people that you hire, how you train people, and what you need to train them on is going to evolve with AI. There's things that people need to know now. I mean, there was a time when you needed to train people how to use a paper map, okay? And we don't do that anymore. It's not an AI thing necessarily, but just pull it up.
That training probably still needs to exist in case GPS fails, because I don't think anybody knows how to use a paper map anymore.
Yeah,
It might be valuable.
that would be a big problem. But
Yeah.
but, but that's gonna keep evolving. Um, it's going to be important to have people in your organization that can document, how they do what they do, and that can help train these agents because, that doesn't happen, overnight. And it doesn't happen by accident. And every company has, some different nuances in terms of standard operating procedure and how they want things done. And it's going to be the people in the administrator roles that are going to be training these agents, and keeping an eye on them from the standpoint of, are they doing what it is they want to do? There's always going to be a certain amount of non-conforming outcomes, and somebody needs to
Mhm.
catch that and do something about it to make it better.
I think a hurdle, I think some people are already trying to get over, but I think it's going to get just more and more common in the future is getting your staff to adapt to AI and agents that you're speaking of and changing how they've done what they've done for a long time. Maybe they've been with you a long time and it's change in general, but there's also this common fear with staff that, oh, if I lean in too much to this, am I still going to have a job?
Mhm.
So how do you think business owners in this industry should navigate that? How do we encourage our staff to lean into it without them thinking they're going to lean into their own demise?
I think you start with explaining, the vision. There's a term called AI first. Organizations that um, establish the expectation with everybody there that, whatever it is that you're doing in your job, we want you to be thinking about, how can I do this with AI? How can AI help me do this better? And you know really explain the reality that, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. We can't
Mm,
stick our head in the sand and make it not happen. We can either watch it happen or we can make it happen. And if we make it happen, we can make the outcomes a lot better for ourselves. We can create opportunities for ourselves.
mm,
Whatever the job market looks like 5 years from now, I like my odds a lot better, regardless of what my current job description is. If I know what an AI agent is, if I know how to train them, if I know how to build them. So, part and parcel of that, too, is providing learning opportunities, training opportunities for your team to participate in implementing AI in your business.
I love that. And I think that's going to be a big hurdle. I mean, as J Dub is what I call Jonathan Wisman. I've known him for a while, so I have a fun little nickname for him. But as he was talking about, those droids or whatever the word we're going to call them. It's like literally we're living in
Humanoid
Star Wars.
humanoid robots.
Humanoid robots, potentially cleaning homes in the future. I think that's going to be a big hurdle for technicians as well as like, how do we convince them that, hey, your drive along partner today is a humanoid robot and they're going to be like watching you do everything you do. And like, you know what I mean? It's going to be, I think we're years off from that as well. I think even possibly 3 years is aggressive. But I've been surprised before how fast technology can evolve. But that's going to be an interesting thing for this industry too.
And how, consumers, adjust to that and adapt to that. And, humanoid robots aren't gonna be for everybody. And,
Mhm.
um, I was talking to somebody who lives in Austin, Texas, and the, ones that, forget the brand name, but the one that Elon Musk's his humanoid robot
Yeah.
company, you see them walking around the street.
Mhm.
It's not obvious that they're doing anything, but in my mind, it's just acclimating the
Yeah.
humans that these things are here and they're around, and if they see them walking around enough, they won't think twice of it if, they're helping them check out at a grocery store or taking their order at a sandwich shop or something.
The deep sociological like studies with that are really, I mean, because you're right, I didn't even think about that. We were looking at this from the lens of the technicians and the staff for the company, but it's also the customer standpoint. Is the client and customer going to be comfortable with a humanoid, robot cleaning their home and what that could look like? I didn't even think about that. So yeah, they're like getting people ready just to be okay with the presence of them around. Fascinating. Okay. All right. That's enough on AI before I get creeped out too much. Let's talk about just the leadership lens that you play, or that you look through on a daily basis, kind of like bridging this combination of technology and people. You've built successful teams, obviously both at Castle Keepers and the cleaning operations, but also in the tech field at Maid Central. How do you balance technology and human leadership? Ensuring that automation is supporting people instead of replacing them.
Hmm. Well, in my mind, it starts with understanding who are your stakeholders, okay? And in our world, we think of three primary stakeholders. I mean, there's more if you want to branch out, but at the highest level, You've got people who get out of bed every morning and clean homes professionally. Okay. You've got the consumers that they clean homes for. And then you've got, the cleaning business owners, the cleaning businesses themselves. Okay. So how do you create a win-win-win scenario between those three stakeholders? And I've seen that there is no win-lose, by the way. You either have a bad outcome for all three, or you have a good outcome for all three. And it starts with running a profitable business, where I've seen companies struggle for years and years and years. And this is part of our motivation going back 20 some odd years when we were starting RXC and all of that. It's like we need to bring professionalism to the industry, because it was through professionalism that we can bring professional management practices, and then we can even talk
Mhm.
about profit. And people hear profit, they think sometimes they go to greed, right? But it
Sure.
really
Yeah.
isn't from a greed aspect. But who wants to work for a company that's not profitable? If it's not profitable, it's not sustainable. And while it's
Yeah.
hanging on, the jobs are going to suck, the service is going to be bad, and the people who own it are going to be miserable too, right?
Sure.
So we focus on profit for all the right reasons. And if you do that, you're creating a win for all three of those stakeholders. And if you're able to do that, you know, you're building something of value financially, but you're also building something of value that means something, bigger than money as well.
I love that. Um, this is a question I've been asking throughout this season because I think it's interesting. The responsibility of software companies having and like helping owners not just buy a tool, but actually succeed with it. And I mean, obviously, there are free trials, there are things like that. But what lens do you look at that topic through for Maid Central? Like, where does the responsibility of Maid Central stop when it comes to someone buying the tool and just becoming a customer rather than like really using the tool and thriving with it?
If our partners aren't using the tool to the fullest extent that they could be, we look at that as a missed opportunity, to maybe even a fail on our part. That we're not just scheduling software, okay? If we were just scheduling jobs, okay, well, fine. It's show up, clean Mrs. Jones's house, go on to the next one. But we're a profit-based business model, okay? That's a lot more involved. There's a lot more to know and to do in order to squeeze the full juice and value out of that. So, we've got a big team. We've got like 30 people on the Maid Central team, all W-2 employees living here, in the United States, and most of them are engaged in either helping new partners implement or supporting them
Mm,
once they are. And we do a lot of training events to support them as well. And we do that because if you aren't using the product, you're not creating that win-win-win that we just talked about for all of the stakeholders. And if you're not growing your profit, you know, it's no secret that Maid Central is not the cheapest, technology option for a house cleaning company. But we do believe it is the most value, that if you're using it to the extent that you could be, hands down, you're going to have more money in the bank at the end of the month than any other option that's out there. It's our job,
mm.
our responsibility to help our partners do that.
I love that. Kind of a broad question, but I'm curious about your answer to this. From your perspective, what separates cleaning businesses that thrive with technology from those who struggle to implement it? Is a personality trait? Is a mindset? What separates those two groups of people?
Hmm. That's a good question, Drew. Change is a scary thing, okay?
Mm,
And I think it just starts with the idea of embracing change, understanding the difference between a decision that's not reversible from one that is. And most of the decisions that are in the realm of technology are reversible decisions. If we try something and we don't get exactly the outcome that we're looking for, it's not like a plane just fell out of the sky. We have an opportunity to learn and adapt to make it better. Some people embrace that idea and run with it. Others struggle with that. And just because this is the way you did it 20 years ago when you're doing it with a piece of paper and a pencil doesn't mean that's the way that we should be doing it in 2025. And getting people to you know be open to making the changes that they need to make in order to take advantage of the technical opportunities that they have today, and more importantly, to be in a position to take advantage of the ones that are going to be available to them shortly down the road.
How do you that same person, right, who's still literally pen and paper, organizing their CRM with pen and paper, how do you help justify the added expense of technology? Because I think that's a big hurdle too. It's not just change in process, it's also change in their books and investing in technology. We talk a lot about, obviously, marketing is, if you look at it one way, it can be an expense, but in another way, if the people that really win with marketing are the ones that look at it as an investment. How do you define that difference for people when it comes to technology between here's just another expense or here's an investment?
Assuming you're talking about a company that's doing a little bit of scale, maybe $500,000 or more a year, or that's where they aspire to get to. Okay, there's a lot of time that can go into doing payroll, doing sales, taking care of the bookkeeping, and Maid Central can automate a ton of that. Okay, so that can manifest itself in terms of hard dollars and indirect labor that you're saving, or it can manifest itself into, hey, you just got your weekend back. You're not
Mhm.
spending your nights trying to do stuff that's now it's automated for you. From a dollar and cent standpoint, money in the bank, you've got the right tools. If you don't have the right tools, there's no way you're going to get your pricing right consistently. You might get lucky every
Sure.
once in a while, but you're going to have a meaningful number of jobs that are underbid, and you're going to have more labor tied up into those jobs just because you're not able to schedule efficiently, and you don't have the data to hold people accountable. What gets measured gets done, right? If you don't have the data, you're not really even managing your business. All you're doing is cleaning homes. So you add all of that up, you can save a ton of time and you can have more money in the bank by whatever volume of work you're doing, assuming you've got a certain amount of work going. And I'm throwing that caveat in. There's a ton of people out there, and they're house cleaning is an awesome way to make a business. If you want to go out on your own and maybe hook up with your cousin or something and just go clean homes on your own, you can generate a couple of people can generate a couple $100,000 a year just working by themselves. You don't need a big tech stack for that. Okay. Maid
Mhm.
Central isn't really going to help you. That's more overhead and technology you're going to need. But anybody that wants to build a business where they've got employees and they're looking to do anything that looks like growth and scale, it pays for itself quickly.
I love it. I've been ending episodes lately, with this, and it's kind of like an elevator speech idea. You've got 60 seconds with a technology skeptic in the cleaning industry. You've got 60 seconds to speak directly to a cleaning business owner who's hesitant in investing in software. What do you tell them?
Hmm. It's 2025. You're dealing with a lot of competitive forces to hire the best people. It starts with that. There are a lot of offerings available to people. Most of them have opportunities to work for companies that are billing a lot more per hour than in the house cleaning industry. The way you compete with that is to have the right tech stack to create the opportunity for your technicians to generate as much revenue as they can in the course of the week. And by doing that, you're able to create awesome jobs for them, in which case your customers are going to appreciate it and they're going to realize awesome service. Your life gets a lot easier and you're accomplishing your business goals. Without the right tech stack, none of that's gonna happen.
I love it. Elevator just went ding. Perfect. Nailed it. Hey, thank you for being a part of this conversation today, Tom. I really appreciate it. Thank you for doing this. I know you say you don't do shows like this often or conversations like this often. Hopefully, being the one being interviewed wasn't too bad for you. How'd it go?
No, this is pretty cool. I enjoy this. Actually, this is
Good.
this is a lot easier. Your job's harder than mine.
Well, luckily, I like this side of the table too. I like both sides, so it works out well. But thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Before we wrap, what's the best place for listeners to connect with you or learn more about Maid Central and the work that you're doing?
Go to maidcentral.com. There's a, reach out form. You can like ask for a demo, or if you have any questions or whatever, that's the best place to do it. If you want to drop me an email directly, it's timestewart@maidcentral.com.
Love it. Very cool. And if you, the people watching or listening to this episode, found this helpful, share it with another cleaning business owner who's also trying to make sense of the world of technology, what to do, what to sign up for, what not to sign up for. Because we do know this industry is very tight knit. And we do know you probably know 6 or 7 people at the top of your head that could probably value or get some value from the conversation that Tom and I had today. Because we do know at the end of the day, technology is not just about replacing people, it's about empowering them to build something smarter, simpler, and stronger together. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Drew.